If you send it in an email or say it over the phone, the feds have it, and they can do with it whatever they want. Seems the feds are tracking even more of our emails and text messages than first thought. A senior intelligence official tells the New York Times newspaper the spying goes beyond Americans directly contacting potential terrorists overseas, way beyond that. In fact, the National Security Agency reportedly tracks people who simply cite information linked to those foreign suspects. In other words, send a message saying, for instance, a suspect's email address, and that official says the government could keep an eye on you. Type out Anwar al-Awlaki or something like that, if you could ever do such a thing, and you know they're going to be knocking on the door and sending a minder in there to have brush teeth with you. There's no warrant required. An NSA spokeswoman is responding, and I quote, NSA's signals, intelligence activities, that's what it says, are designed to acquire, produce, and disseminate foreign intelligence information about the capabilities, intentions, or activities of foreign powers and their agents, foreign organizations, foreign persons, international terrorists, blah, 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 blah. Any implication that NSA's collection is arbitrary and unconstrained is dead wrong. Wendell Golders at the White House. How does the White House justify any of this stuff?
Well, here's the deal, Shep. The president's spy agencies are not just interested in communication to and from a terrorist target. They're interested in information about the target. So when that comes up in an email sent from an American to someone overseas, it's apparently fair game for them to snoop, but it has to cross the border. It can't be an email or phone call to someone else inside this country. The New York Times says that NSA computers search nearly all cross-border text data for keywords or other so-called selectors and save emails or instant messages when they get a match so that analysts can examine them.
The president seemed to suggest that the government is doing less. At least he did when he was talking to Jay Leno.
Well, he certainly suggested the U.S. was more precise about who to track. Here's what he told Jay Leno.
What we do have are some mechanisms where we can track a phone number or an email address that we know is connected to some sort of terrorist threat. And that information is useful. But what I've said before, I want to make sure I repeat, and that is we should be skeptical about the potential encroachments on privacy.
We've heard all the public outcry since we learned how the National Security Agency keeps tabs on all of us. But according to the reporting of the New York Times newspaper, there is anger behind the scenes that we're not using those controversial spy tools widely enough. The Times quotes intelligence experts who say other government agencies want access to all the secret information that the NSA has collected. Let's take it to the judge. Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. You predicted this.
Well, at first, the government told us back on June 6th, when Snowden made his initial revelations, that the only thing that they captured was basic information, billing information, who you called, when you called, how long you spoke. Right.
They lied to us.
Snowden and other NSA whistleblowers, including one named Thomas Drake, who's been on shows in this building, was prosecuted by the government, and the prosecution was thrown out, revealed that the government does have the content of the phone calls and does have the content of the emails and the texts, and with a couple of computer keys, it can read them. This morning, we learned that other entities in the federal government are jealous that the NSA has this, and they want it. And the NSA hasn't revealed that it has leaked it, but the DEA has revealed, that's the Drug Enforcement Administration, that it has received it. So they have actually started criminal investigations based on information seized pursuant to spying power. Absolutely prohibited, not only by the Fourth Amendment, but by the statute that creates the spying power, which says it can only be used to combat terrorism, not to combat other crimes, because it's easier for them to start a prosecution based upon secretly recorded phone calls.
It sounds like what you're saying is this government of ours went out and tried to prosecute people for leaking, and this government, the NSA, is leaking itself.
Correct. Listen, the government is prosecuting Edward Snowden, saying he committed espionage by leaking. But officials of the NSA themselves are doing leaking. A, they're boasting about the bad people they caught. That's leaking by identifying these cases and the people that they caught. B, by boasting that they are the ones who captured the chatter in Yemen that caused the president to close the embassies in the Arabian Peninsula. Somehow this doesn't make sense as to why they have to spy on 300 million Americans in order to catch some al-Qaeda people in Yemen talking to each other, and how somehow capturing or stopping these people in Yemen justifies invading the privacy of everybody here. Because the Constitution was written to prevent that kind of a dragnet, to prevent those kind of leaks to make yourself look good, to prevent those kind of leaks to other law enforcement entities to help them do their job.
I don't go to their websites, but the conspiracy theorists must be having one hell of a time.
Well, I don't go to the websites either, even though every once in a while some of them will send me something, I'll read it and toss it unless we can independently verify it. And actually, Shep, as your great producers will tell you, when this came in this morning, she who must be obeyed said to me, Judge, we're not going to go with this. Johnny's laughing because he knows who I mean, unless and until it's corroborated. Well, guess what? It was corroborated by Fox and other sources and by an admission by the DEA itself that it has been getting these tips from the spies about who are bad guys out here, domestic bad guys that have nothing to do with terrorism. When and how will this end? Why is there no outrage?
I don't know, Judge.
That just 10 days ago, they asked for our passwords, and they were probably turned over. Where does it go from there?
What are they going to do with it? When you give away information to credit card companies and banks and all the rest, you have to sign a thing saying, I'm giving it to you. The government is taking it, and they're prosecuting citizens for leaking information about it as they leak information about it too. Those are the facts.